Okay, let's talk about this banjo setup. This banjo, this is the Cuppophone that I've been working on, where I changed the neck to a Supertone neck, 5-string neck, and I put nylon strings on it. It sounds fabulous for a banjo strung with nylon strings. Now I'm gonna give you an example. This banjo. Now I'm going to grab another banjo that is also a banjo strung with nylon strings. This is also a good banjo. It's a Dobson banjo. Strung with nylon strings. Now you can obviously hear the difference between that and that. So that was what I was looking for, was to create a good banjo with nylon strings that I could play and still get really good sound out of it. Now one issue that I have, and it's really the only issue I have with this banjo, I guess the only thing I could say other than that I may need to change this bridge to get the 5th string to sound better, is that where this is an arch top banjo, my fingers fall down on this string in such a way that I don't feel like I can get a good tone out of this. But it might be that if my arm sat a little higher, that would make up for that. And there's a way to do that. This is called a banjo armrest. They make several different kinds of these. A lot of them are great big things that cover up the whole banjo, but I've always really liked this kind of armrest. It's really very small and it's made out of good nickel-plated brass, so it's a good addition to the banjo, because the more good nickel-plated brass you can get on there, the better it's going to sound. And it would attach to the banjo literally right here, so it would basically sit here, which would raise up the place where my arm sits on the banjo by about 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch, which might do what I need to have it do in order to make this banjo more playable for me. This is really a pretty easy swap to make. In fact, I'm going to do it right here in my chair in my living room. That sound you hear in the background is Honey Baby drying her hair. She's getting ready to go and dance today. But I can literally attach this to the banjo bolts back here. So I'm going to take off one banjo bolt back here. And I don't want the banjo to come off, I just want the nut to come off. And then I'm going to take this armrest and I'm going to put it over the end of that banjo bolt right there.
What are you looking at? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you barking at? What? Is it the banjo you're barking at? Are you barking at the banjo? That's okay. It's just a banjo. It won't hurt you. It's not going to harm you any. You're a funny dog. You're a cute little funny dog. I might have to go out and enlarge this hole slightly, which I can do if I have to. I might need to.
So I went out and drilled out the hole in the end of this just ever so slightly. So a few days ago I kind of made a statement about how one of the reasons I think I really like banjos is because they're very mechanical. And this is just kind of an example of, you know, a mechanical alteration that you can make on a banjo. A guitar, violin, a mandolin, a fiddle, a bass, cello, all of those are basically wooden boxes. And if you've got a wooden box and it gets wet, it's going to tend to come unglued and fall apart, or the wood's going to warp. Whereas a banjo is actually a pretty rugged piece of musical instrument. And, you know, there's all these legends about the cowboys riding out wrists with a band, with a guitar, and, you know, playing the guitar in all the movies. But the reality is that probably didn't happen very often, because guitars would fall apart if you strung one over your back and rode a horse off with it somewhere. It would probably fall apart pretty quickly. But a banjo is sturdy enough so that you could do that with, because they're just built in a more strong way. They're not a wooden box like a guitar or a mandolin or a cello or any of that. They're a stronger instrument, more rugged and more able to withstand the elements. Now, so now that I have this on here, let's see how it plays. See, what that does is that raises my hand up a little bit here. That does is, because this sits a little bit higher than the banjo, then it kind of moves my arm back this way a little. See, normally my fingers want to play right on top of this arch, but with this on here, it actually makes it a little easier to play it back a little bit, sort of just below the arch. I think I would really like to not take this banjo apart and make the modification that I talked about with the removing the tone ring, because it sounds good. I have never played a banjo with nylon strings. It sounds like this, and I'd like to do everything I can to not mess this up. Right there is the theme to the Archie Bunker show. They used to... I ever realized I could play that song before. It just kind of came out of my fingers, but I could sit around and probably learn it, and if I learned it and sang it, it might be kind of cool. I've never paid a lot of attention to the song, but it might be a cool song. See, the advantage to me of having a nylon strung banjo is that it's a lot easier on my fingers to play. And as you get older, you know, things like that become an issue. As, you know, you lose some strength in your fingers in general and all that. So having a nylon strung banjo with a good sound gives me a lot more opportunities to play. Okay, I'm going to make one more quick little video that I didn't talk about before, but the other thing that was happening was that my fifth string was buzzing before. So what I did was I put a drop of clear fingernail polish right on top of the bridge where the fifth string goes over the bridge, and I put a drop right here where it crosses this metal. Because sometimes a string, if there's a space that a string passes through where it can vibrate and hit against something, it will rattle. A good example is right where we cut this notch in this piece of brass on the fifth string nut here. That's a pretty good place to rattle. And even sometimes on a wooden bridge, if that notch is cut a little too wide, it can rattle. So the fingernail polish kind of encased all of that in that stuff, whatever it is, lacquer or something like that. It sounds good now. Fourth string sounds, that deep string right there, it sounds good right there. There's a better home away in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I was standing on the corner when the hearse, what is that? They're singing about his mama going on the caisson, on the, what's the word for that? Anyway, and I was gonna sing it, but like one word. There's one word that just plumb evaded me. I couldn't get it out. When the hearse went by, when the caisson went by, when the anyway. Because back in those days, they pulled the wagon with the glass on it, and they pulled it with a horse. Let's just ignore that though, and pretend that didn't happen. Will the surf be unbroken by and by? I'm a happy man. I'm going to play this banjo a lot. That's my plan. What's yours?